So I'm a little worried about Arsenal. It looks to me like over the last 4 or 5 games, take away that game against, I believe it was United, they are scraping to get wins. They are not creating the clearest of chances. They are not having as much opportunities at goal as you would typically want them to have.
Yeah, it happens like that. It's normal that teams dip in the season sometimes. We see it from other teams, but the important thing is they are still getting their wins. I think they're just in a slight dip. I think not having Thomas Partey is affecting them a little bit. I think they play much better when he's on the pitch. I think Martinelli has been a bit out of form. Maybe this goal will kind of rejuvenate him. I think maybe Nketiah was getting tired, which is why we saw Trossard leading the line against Leicester. So maybe it's just and Xhaka has not played well for a while. I think that's another part of it. I think
so there's been a general dip in form among a host of their players.
I think that's just what's worrying them. I think Odegaard has been a bit quiet in the last few weeks. But look, it doesn't matter because they are getting the results. And that's the most important thing, to ride out these periods and still get the results. For me, I didn't like how they played in the second half. I thought they handled it a bit poorly. Leicester just didn't have the quality to take advantage of it. And that's okay. You get away with it because Leicester didn't create much, but I think Arsenal were a bit sloppy in possession. They lost the ball quite a lot, but Leicester also just didn't have the quality. I think Arsenal, at least, they had the kind of energy and the drive. They were trying to get back into position, congest the space, make it difficult for Leicester. And we also saw the tactical changes Arteta made in that game, because eventually, when they finished the game, it was a midfield of Partey, Jorginho, and Xhaka. So he knew that, look, the game has to be won. We have to congest the midfield, make it difficult for them to play. So I think Arteta is getting it right, but slowly but surely, though, I think the players will pick up form again, because you can't expect some of these players, and also these players are in their mid-20s, early to mid-20s. During these periods, they are not as able to be consistent with their form. It's when players usually get to 29, 28, 27, around that you can see them play well for 30, 40 games in a season. Usually in their early 20s, you can expect 20, 25 good games of the 40, 50 games you see in a season. So I'm not concerned from that standpoint. As long as enough players are able to pull their weight and they get the results, they'll be fine. Because that's the thing. They have a better structure than most teams. And their players are better than... Because I think Arsenal are very well coached. When you look at how they start games, how they set up, they are very well coached. So that good coaching means that even if they have an off day, breaking them down is difficult. So once you are difficult to break down and you have quality players who just need a few moments to shine, you can get the results. So I think this dip in form is temporary. I think some of their players, their level will come back up. But I'm worried about when they start playing the Europa League again, whether those extra games will weigh on them.
They have a game against Sporting coming. That's a big game. Those games will drain you mentally.
Because now it will be that Thursday to Sunday. How would they cope with that? But look, I still believe Arsenal right now are still behind Man City for me as favourites to win the title, just because the Man City experience is there. But I've been saying this for a while now, that against the smaller teams, we saw Man City get a big win, but Bournemouth didn't make it hard for them. When there's a bit of pressure, I think it's harder for them to beat small teams this season than has been in previous seasons, whereas Arsenal don't seem to have that problem. And that's the truth of the matter, because the top 6 is only 10 games of your 38. It's only a quarter of your games. Those other 28 games is where the league is won and lost, if we are being honest. So if you win those more often than not, you win those 28 games, you put yourself in a good position. I think Arsenal are better equipped for those 28 games than Man City are currently.
Interesting thoughts there, Coach. You saw the game. Leicester, very uninventive. And I find that funny because we talk about them not being solid defensively. They've become solid. This was a game that presented them with numerous counter-attacking opportunities. They just couldn't test the goalkeeper.
Yeah, look, Drewsbury Hall and then the Nigerian boy in midfield. Ndidi.
Yeah.
And then there was this other chap. They had no chemistry between the three of them. They just couldn't, because of late they've not been playing together.
Yeah.
Of late it's been Mendy and Sumari.
Yeah.
And then they've got Maddison.
Maddison also didn't play.
Maddison didn't play. So you could clearly see that the cohesion within this Leicester City team, especially in the middle. You see, if you want to compete against teams like Arsenal and co, you need to be very combative in midfield. You need to be able to compete. Because if you don't compete with them in midfield, that Xhaka, Jorginho, Odegaard, they will just pass the ball around you and then begin to attack. And we saw that several times yesterday. And the fact that Rodgers sat there and allowed that to happen consistently. And as at when they were given the ball by Arsenal sloppily, they didn't have what it takes to find the pass, to actually involve Harvey Barnes a bit more, to Eskelechi Iheanacho a bit more. So they was completely disjointed. And for me, look, it's the coaching. I thought he kept too long with the substitutions. Mendy and then
brought Tielemans in. Tielemans got injured, had to be taken out
yes,
again.
and
I have to say, I'm
look,
fan of Tielemans recently.
Look, it is because mentally,
I think
because
he's
leaving
checked out
team,
of the club.
The coach's behavior towards him, or attitude towards him, has sent a message, because you can clearly see that he's seen himself as a team player. But Tielemans, on any other day, should be a starter in this Leicester City team. He's of all the midfielders, he's the better passer of the ball. He passes the ball to the forward players much more. Best pair in midfield. So that's